I believe everybody I recruit should be taught, everybody I recruit and bring into my world should be taught A, how to make money, and B, should be taught to bring me investment opportunities. Okay. So I'm looking at it like I have a 67 person sales team bringing me opportunities to purchase real estate. Okay.
Welcome back to the Massive Passive Cashflow Podcast. I'm Gary Wilson, your host. We're so glad to have you back listening to the show. We're watching. If you're doing that in recorded mode, that's perfectly fine. We got a great guest today, Allan Burns from New Jersey. It turns out Allan and I have actually crossed paths in the past. We both used to work for the same brokerage, and he's in New Jersey. And of course, some of you might know I've got some family there, and I spent quite a bit of time there pretending I know how to surf. But also just having fun. New Jersey people are the best people on the planet. I'm convinced of it, and I think you will be too once you hear from Allan. So, Allan, first off, thanks for doing this, man. I know you're a busy guy, and I feel like I'm lucky to have you on the show. So, thank you for doing this.
I appreciate you, and hopefully I can bring you and your guests some value.
Yeah, I think you've got a lot to offer, man. Your background is pretty impressive. So to begin with, if you wouldn't mind, just share a little backstory. Like most of us weren't born saying, "Hey, I'm going to be a real estate broker." We're going to be a fireman or an astronaut or something. But what was it that got you into real estate? Was it an investment or like a family member that was in, or can you recall what was the inspiration for this?
To be honest, it was I didn't want to work construction out in the cold. So so my dad was a union president or vice president, and I used to work outside as a dock builder. And one day it was just really cold out, and I was like, you know what? This does not make any sense. I didn't really want to work a 9-to-5 job, so I got into real estate. The two things I really wanted in life was freedom to make my own hours and freedom to make as much money as I wanted to. So, and that's what real estate allows me to do. If I need this amount of money, all I got to do is work for it and reach up into the sky and be creative. And it's not like a 9-to-5 job where somebody dictates my income. So that's how I kind of got into real estate. I fell into it.
Yeah. Well, you touched on something really, really important. I want everybody to really pay attention to this. In real estate, you're actually an independent contractor, which means you have the freedom of being an entrepreneur. And if you're in the right company or have your own brokerage, you can basically create your own brand, your own culture, as long as it's within the guidelines of the state real estate commission and, of course, your whatever brokerage you're in. But what Allan said, there's no limit to how high you can climb. I'm telling you, when I'm living proof too, Allan's living proof. And quite frankly, in real estate, there are more women than men. And I came from banking, and I can tell you for a fact, at the top level management in banking, it was still the old white guys. There wasn't a lot of women. There were women there, but not like in real estate. In real estate, man, you can call your own shots. I don't care what your background is, what language you speak. I'm telling you, you can make it big here. The only thing that's going to possibly hold you back is your own limiting beliefs. So keep that in mind.
And what I think about too is, like, real estate allows me to be creative, right? Like, and I think a lot of agents are not creative. There's still a lot of them are still doing real estate paycheck to paycheck or closing to closing. Real estate, especially with the new models and the new models coming out, the new models of the way of doing real estate and the things that the real estate, what it allows me to do, buying properties, investments, all that stuff. It just, the sky's the limit. I just don't think enough people think that way.
Yeah. I agree. That was one hallmark of an entrepreneur is we like to be able to express our creative sides. We like being innovative and resourceful. It's all about problem solving. And the more creative you are, the more problems you're going to be able to solve. And it builds confidence over time. Your success breeds more success. But even in marketing, you just look at what's available today. And the good Lord, with YouTube, Allan, is probably the most underutilized resource in the real estate industry. And it's totally free, I mean, anybody can set up a channel and you get better at it. Now with the AI technology and creating avatars, I mean, I have a dozen avatars or more, and we're getting better at creating them. And they're getting better themselves. They're like self-learning. I mean, and we use them now for routine production because they're better than me. I mean, I'm a human. I make mistakes. I make errors and ums and ahs and all that stuttering type stuff.
I just started diving in AI at a high level, and I mean, It's just the things it could do is just really insane. It's set and forget, So the things that we've created, like the plug and play model with AI on top of it, is really making us efficient and making our systems a lot better. So yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit on what we could do with the power of what was going on in my mind and what we've created in the foundation, plus the top of AI on top of it.
Okay. What I found out is now that I'm into it, I used to be thinking of it in conventional terms, like it's another tool to learn, it's another system. It's actually really not. It's just software. But what it does is it doesn't replace what you're doing. It makes what you're doing easier, right, and better. So, by the way, you mentioned something, the plug and play. Is that a strategy on your team, or is that your team
Yeah, I
building
mean,
methodology? Mm.
yeah, so ideally we everything we do is, you kind of think about like the U.S. Army or the Navy, right? Like it doesn't matter who's in control or who the commander is. They run such a high operation that whoever they can replace a commander like that, and somebody would walk in and be able to replace and run that ship or run that operation. So everything that we do, every branch or every arm that we've done is protocoled and processed out, and it's just plug and play. A new agent comes in or a new investor comes in, it's the same processes and the same protocols that we're constantly evolving.
Yeah. All right. Now where you're located. Describe to people where that is, because a lot of people, that part of New Jersey, Monmouth, and you're not too far from the coast, and yet you're not too far from the major artery, I-95 and some other major arteries too, and you're not too far from Philly, not too far from New York. And it's one of my favorite places out there. I just love the people, the restaurants. I mean, there's a diner on every corner. So one state, you can find a
Yeah.
diner in New Jersey, man.
In every town now, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're in Central Jersey. My hub office is in Red Bank, New Jersey. We've kind of we've changed our model over the years, is that we have a hub office where our admin team is at, and really, having an office where agents come and work every day, that's not the model anymore. Like, agents should be on the road, they should be out meeting people, and they should come to the office when they need help or when they need some kind of support or training. So ideally, we have a hub spoken wheel model where we have a central location where that's where our admin is, and we have agents throughout the state, but a majority of our business is mostly Monmouth and Ocean County, New Jersey, and that's probably about 35 minutes from New York City.
Okay, excellent. So do you have, so on your team, this is another thing that's a kind of a newer phenomenon with the newer model. I mean, the old franchise model, I'm not going to knock it. It's been around for a long time. It has a place in history. It'll always be there. And always be people that just want that model. But if you think about it, in the last 5 years, no new brokerage that's been created of any significance has copied the franchise model. It's all the new, what we call the vertical model or the network model. It's just the same thing as the insurance industry. Aflac is a great example. We just figured out how to apply it to real estate. We got a great product, a home. Everybody wants the home, Peter, whether you're renting or buying. It's a big ticket item, so obviously the payout's pretty good too. So to me, it's just ingenious. It makes sense, and that's why all the new models are copying that type of model. But what it does is it removed a lot of barriers, and one of those is geographic. Yes, we can still have a physical hub, but there's no reason why you can't have agents down in Atlantic City, all the way up in Patterson, wherever you want to be. So do you have agents? Describe the reach that you have. How far north, south do you go? And
So yeah, let me explain this. So it all ties together. So I had a franchise model for 5 years, right? Like, I was in a franchise model for 5 years before I came here, and there just really wasn't room for expansion other than adding more money to the franchise machine, right? Like expanding, buying more systems, more tools, more employees, more overhead, more newer insurance. With the new model and what my business is a lot of real estate, but it's also a lot of investing, right? So I can basically take our model and under the model that we're at now, the real estate brokerage we're at now, and basically put it in any market in the United States. Like, I could just find an agent in that market and plug and play into the model that we've created. And there's a benefit for that. There's a benefit to that. Like, I'm getting market share in another location. I'm creating leads in another location. That group is funneling me investment opportunities that are a lot cheaper in that market than it is in my market here, right? Because I'm in top 10% of whatever 1% of the country worldwide in terms of prices. I can go to I just took I bought a property in South Carolina. It was like a it was my down payment was 27,000. We're up here would have been 102. Right? I mean, and I just recruited that agent to my team in South
Yep.
Carolina, and he's taking my leads and my lead generation, finding some investment properties and selling properties for us. So I have a large reach, and I will recruit people in the markets that I want to be in to work the system that we're created. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Well, it absolutely does. And I'm just so
Yeah.
glad I called you up here because, my background was originally investing, right? I mean, literally within a month of graduating college, I bought my first property in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I went to Old Dominion. It was my college roommate, Socrates. We were partners on it. His dad was a Greek immigrant, big investor in Richmond, Virginia. So I've been investing since I got out of college. In fact, I retired from the corporate world at 40 years old because I was making more money for my investments. I'm like, I don't need to do this crap anymore. But the
Well, it's all
brokerage,
about passive income, right? We want to create passive
yeah.
income. Yeah.
So what's interesting is you've figured out that, so if you look at our industry, I know people that own franchises and businesses in multiple industries, and to me, that's too scattered. I like real estate because it's real. It makes sense. Everybody has a place to live. I can own it and invest in it. I can help other people own it and buy it. And everything's related. So if I have a brokerage, I used to own a brokerage. I had a property management company. I had a title company. I had an appraisal company. I had everything that clients needed in real estate, but it was all real estate related. And I could buy and sell those businesses and things like that. But the real estate itself, what happened is I started building up a big portfolio, several hundred units. I needed real property managers, which is what I did. And then my clients were saying, can you do that for me too? Of course, I'm not as smart as you, Ellen. I used to say, no, I don't do that for the people. I think my wife's like, are you stupid? She'd give me two before I started doing that. And that's what opened up the whole world for me. And the brokerage was the same way. I didn't actually help investors in the beginning. I got my license for me, but it wasn't until later when I started helping investors. So everybody listening here, just remember what Allan said. The agent in South Carolina was Allan's agent on his purchase. Allan brought him into the team. Now Allan helps the guy identify other investors, and I'm assuming the properties too. Now this agent is making money serving investors. I'm pretty sure, Allan, that agent at some point is going to say, hey, Allan, can you tell me a little bit more about investing? I want to buy my own property. Is that part of the mission to help your agent?
Well, there's two things I do here. Like,
Okay.
one, I believe everybody I recruit should be taught. Everybody I recruit and bring into my world should be taught A, how to make money, and B, should be taught to bring me investment opportunities. Okay, so I'm looking at it like I have a 67 person sales team bringing me opportunities to purchase real estate. Okay,
Yeah.
and I will make them partners. I will make them partners, or I'll show them or make them project managers so they know how to do it on their own. But really, the first step is for them to bring us opportunity.
Hey there, did you know you can join a free real estate mastermind session every Monday night? It's called Monday Night Live, and it kicks off at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm Gary Wilson, and every week I host this live class, joined by investor agents from across the country and around the world. And here's the best part: no selling, no recruiting, just pure, actionable real estate education. Every Monday, we cover everything from the basics to advanced strategies. We even bring in expert guests once or twice a month. Topics like how to buy property using crypto, how AI is reshaping the real estate landscape, what the metaverse and blockchain mean for real estate deals today. Whether you're a new investor or a seasoned pro, you'll walk away with real value, and you'll have the chance to ask questions live, connect with others, and expand your network. Sound good? Then head over to realestatewithgarywilson.com. Click the Resources tab, select Monday Night Live, and you'll find recent replays plus a full schedule. You can register for any upcoming session, even weeks in advance. And if you're watching this on social media, just check the video description for the direct registration link. I'll see you Monday night. Bring your questions, your notepad, and your drive to grow. I look forward to connecting with you.
I like it. Okay. Now so you mentioned South Carolina. And I love that state too. Actually, both my mother and father are both families from upstate South Carolina, Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, and all that. And we moved away when I was a kid. But in any case, when I look at the country and I look at the migration of people and the migration of money, there's very few states that are still left, unless like I'm excluding like the Dakotas and Montana, where there's Montana has like 1 million people in the entire state. But South Carolina, and people are going to probably call me up and say, please stop telling people about these secret places, but South Carolina, Arkansas, Alabama, now people know about Alabama. It's starting to grow like crazy. But Arkansas and South Carolina are kind of like sleeper states. I have no idea why. I mean, people obviously live there, but people have pretty much taken over North Carolina and Georgia. I mean, why not South Carolina? I don't know. I know that we have property there too, and it's a beautiful wonder. You can play golf there year round. Just wear a jacket in January, you're going to be fine.
I kind of look at it like this. I have a house in Florida too, like in Naples.
Mhm.
To go to Naples, I mean, it's not really a long flight, but it's still a 6 hour day, right? Like the time you get to the airport, time you go there, you got to wait for an airport, you got to wait for the plane, you get delayed, all that stuff. I mean, in South Carolina, I could be there in 10 hours drive and I could turn around and drive. Like, you know what I mean? So that my wife doesn't like to fly. So that's why we looked at some South Carolina stuff. And, a lot of people from the North maybe don't want to go all the way down to Florida. That just seems like the place where they're settling in between.
Yeah. Now, have you looked at other states too for investing purposes that are, maybe like Ohio's a great place, Indiana, Illinois. Illinois is changing though, unfortunately.
I would look at any state. I would look at any state. It's all comes down to boots on the ground, right? Like you got to have the right. You got to have the right boots on the ground. You got to find the right partnership that you could invest in, and then start there, right? So like I've just kind of started with people I know, South Carolina, Florida, Pennsylvania, and then I just kind of built around them, And if I met somebody else, then I would start investing it. But my admin team, they basically call every realtor. They call as many realtors as they can and have them put me on a drip campaign. You know how you get the MLS reports. So every realtor in the country is basically sending us properties based on our metrics, and then from there, if we decide if we're going to go invest in that market, we're just kind of looking who's sending us properties on a consistent basis.
Yeah. So okay. So that's sort of your lead sourcing for the properties. When it comes to the analysis, and this is more for the consumers out there listening. We have a lot of agents listening to the podcast, of course, but we have a lot of investors too from around the world now, but mostly U.S. But were there certain analysis tools you'd like to use or a formula, not just not partly for the numbers, but also for the physical analysis that you can recommend, like a third-party product that you're familiar with, or?
Well, I use PropStream for everything. I use PropStream to uncover data, and I market data at a high level. But to be honest, I mean, lately, Zillow. I mean, ChatGPT is actually connected to Zillow now. You could actually put your demographics or your stuff in there, and it prints out a pretty good report. Return on investment, your cash on cash. If you ask it, it'll be better than me doing it. So you just got to get the data and put it in there, and it gets you some good intel.
Good. Now, are you a Zillow team too? There's like I forget yeah.
No, I
There's
don't. I
some
don't
that-
like the. I don't like to buy leads. I don't like to buy leads. I like to create leads. I like to generate leads. I use a lot of data now, so I'll use data sets. Data sets meaning like how long somebody's lived in a house. If there's just PropStream will tell you everything, right? It'll tell every metrics known to man, and then what I do with that metrics, I'll put those leads into our follow up boss, and then we use follow up boss, and was that the other site we use Fellow, and Fellow actually will, after a certain amount of time, the data will spit back everything about that person and what their behaviors are. So that's what we're doing. And then what I do with those leads, I'll just turn around and assign them to somebody in our follow-up boss to go after them.
Good. Right. So that's the lead sourcing on more like clients in general, whether they're investors or just traditional owners or yeah. Okay. That makes sense. And now there's tools out there that are like location specific. Like you got to pay for an area. Like in realtor.com, you got to pay for every operate. Is PropStream, I've never used it all. I've heard it a million times. Like we use other systems too, but is that national? Like you get an account nationally, or do you have to pay for each area?
So that, just think about that, right? So like I could take that PropStream and take the same data sets that we use and I could pull a list in, like, say, South Carolina or Florida, and then I could call an agent in South Carolina. Like, we're in the recruiting business too, because we're at a company that pays us to recruit, right? So I could take that data list and say, listen, I'm a buyer. I want you to work for me. I'm going to give you a list. Go contact these 20 or 100 houses, and then when you do it, I want to make an offer on it, right? So that's how I end up putting my tentacles in another market.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Now on your, let's talk about the team for a bit. So, do you have a team building philosophy or a process or methodology where you can build people like to help them build their own teams eventually? Sort of like you have your team and you're still growing, but some people are going to be like you. They're going to maybe not exactly like you, but they want to
I
build too. Mhm.
So I run my team a lot different. Like, I run my team like, um, basically the way I run my team is I give them the systems and the tools and the processes and the protocols. Okay,
Mhm.
and they could plug in, and I get an override, like a 10% or 20% override. But you're running your own business, like, you're running
Gotcha.
your own business. I'm just a lead generator, where I generate leads, I recruit people to my team per se, but you're running your own business, but you're plugging to everything that we've created. And then ideally what I'm doing is I'm just kind of like you're funneling stuff to me in terms of investments, because we own the investment company. But
Right.
what I do is I will make my money off referrals. So that database that's sitting in the background, marinating, I'll just refer leads from my thing and get paid 30 or 20 to 25 to 30% off the leads that I'm generating. Now, what I do is, like, top producing agents don't want to be on your team, right? Like, they don't want to be on your team. They want their own team, right?
Right.
So it's like a hybrid. You got your team over there, but now I'm giving leads to top producing agents. All right. I'm recruiting them into my team or my office per se, but it's really a team, but they're running their own team. But I'll recruit them into the office team slash, and they're running their own business. They're running their own business, doing anything, but I'll refer them leads. And I know I got a top producer agent working my leads instead of giving it to like a newbie or,
Right.
right? And the key is, what I've learned owning my own brokerage is, I don't really want to manage people anymore. I don't want to manage and babysit people. I don't want to manage and babysit people. So that's where I'm like, if you want to work, you work. I'll give you the opportunity, right? If you want to work, I'll give you the opportunity. I'm just not going to sit down there and teach you the day-to-day stuff. I want to focus on the things that make us money. In creating leads, creating opportunity, finding properties, talking to higher level people that's going to elevate me. Right? That's where I want to spend my time. I don't want to spend my time in an MLS class, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And I know that's compared to where you and I both came from several years ago, that we had so many new agents. And it
That
was
model
just like,
burnt me out.
yeah,
I was a
yeah,
team leader for two different offices. That model burnt me out. I hated real
yeah,
estate at the end. At the end, you know what happens when you take those kind of their jobs, right? You take a job. We got in this to be entrepreneurs, right, and grow things and do things, right? You take that job that's cushy, and you're building a company. You burn yourself out, and you give your business away,
yeah,
right? You end up giving your business away. Like I learned a lot in my 6 years as a team leader, but I also cost me a lot.
yeah. Yeah, that was one of the, I mean, I used to have my own brokerage before I merged with that brokerage and became a trainer. And I observed a lot. And one of the things I observed right out of the gate was that team leader position is a burnout position. I don't know how people do it. And I know team leaders who've been doing it for 20 more years. I can't for the life of me out and figure out how they're staying alive, you know.
You know what burnt you out more than that?
Was that?
Owning a franchise
Oh,
brokerage, that burns you out even more, because at
yeah,
least as a team leader I could go home on a Saturday and Sunday, right, and
yeah,
not pick up my phone. But you own a brokerage, you got to answer to everybody all the time. Insurance
yeah,
people want to sue you, people want to do this, like, you know what I
right,
mean. So that did not make sense to me. So the model I'm in now is perfect. It's a
yeah.
plug and play model. I'm plugging into what they're creating.
And you're focused on production. That's the thing. I was an owner before, and even at the company we're referencing, I was part owner. I wasn't the principal, so I didn't have those primary responsibilities. But the thing is I mean, just mathematically speaking, and I'm guys, anybody listen, I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I promise you, I'm not. But if you own your own brokerage, you own a franchise, I'm going to tell you, owning a brokerage in real estate is the least profitable thing you can do. I mean, my gosh, On average, you're lucky if you got a profit margin of somewhere between 10 and 15%. But when you're
Well, that was,
operating the way, yeah,
I'm sorry, but that was with the commission shrinking, right? Like with the agent, all that agents have commission shrink. Agents are getting more competitive, so there's more models out there for buyers, for sellers to actually shrink their commission. And when you own a brokerage, you got to pay your agents more to keep them in your company. So at the end of the day, the margins were horrible. Like they were shrinking and shrinking, so it didn't make any sense. The company where you're at and the company where I'm at, there's multiple streams of income just in the company alone, not on top of what we're creating.
yeah.
So instead of writing a
Oh,
franchise check every month, I'm actually getting a check.
yeah, exactly. We're making money, at least three different ways. And the odd thing, here's the best part of all. When I owned my own brokerage, we grew sixfold during the recession years. We focused on investors. It was what it was, Alan. It was the proverbial Forrest Gump scene where he's shrimping boat is out on the one in the water when all the other boats in the docks getting bashed up in the hurricane. I just happened to have the right model at the right time. Everybody was trying to buy me, Coldwell Banker, Remax, KW, you name it. And I kept saying no. And the more I said no, the more the price went up. And finally, through life circumstances, I realized actually I do want to sell. And then I did. And I still get residual from that. But I got a multiple of three. I found out later was almost unheard of in real estate. But that was based on my profit margin then. My profit margin now is like 85%. 85%
Wow.
profit margin. I mean, why would you do any other model? I mean, my gosh, the team model. And then you think about it. In the last 5 years, new brokerages have popped up. Not one of them has copied the franchise model. Not one. It has significance. Any new brokerage that's popped up in the last 5 years have copied the vertical or the organizational model because it's better. It's just better. You guys, if you're listening, listen to Allan. They hear me preach this all the time. But now you got Allan Burns saying it too. We're in different brokerages. He's living the same dream I'm living. This is my last thing I've got to do today. I already took a walk today because now the sun sets at 5. But I'm going to do some work in my brand new office. I mean, this is where I am now. I mean, it's just amazing that I can do this. And it's for me. It's not for a brokerage. It's for me. I'm the owner. Allan and I are both owners. We own the company that we work for. The company listens to us. We can be creative. We can be entrepreneurial. And quite frankly, we can focus on scoring points because the brokerage plays defense for us. They take care of compliance, liability, commission disbursement, transaction manager, all that operational stuff that ties you down. You don't have to do anymore. Just give Allan a call. Allan, you're in Central New Jersey, and you figured out like I did. You can operate across state lines with impunity. There's no restrictions because the agent in South Carolina is reporting to that broker of record for South Carolina. So you're meeting all legal compliance rules.
Mm-hmm.
And for production purposes, in his mind, he's reporting to you. But really, like you said, he's got his own business. He's an independent contractor. You're just feeding him. You're giving him a lead sourcing platform that he doesn't have to build himself for a very good price, and that's why he's going to stick with you.
Yep, it's the plug and play model, and something that I could never recreate. I could never recreate my own brokerage model. It would cost me millions, right? Or it would cost me millions to create what they've created for us.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you personally that what I created, it did cost me $2 million. That's just in money. That doesn't account for all the payroll I had. My payroll when I came here, I had the mindset I'm going to just bring in what I had. 4 U.S. employees, virtual assistants in the Philippines. But now, because I really embraced the model, I no longer have any U.S. employees. I only have 2 virtual assistants in the Philippines. So my payroll has been, that's pretty much the reason why I have such a high profit margin. I don't have all the payroll. I don't have to pay payroll taxes because I don't have a U.S. payroll. So in any case, there's a lot more to this. I know you and I could probably go on forever, but I know we're going to, the general rule of thumb in podcasts is keep it to a half hour, which is probably right there. But anything you want to share, how can people get a hold of you? How can they find out more about what you're doing, how you can help them, how they can help you?
I'm a person that comes from contribution. So if anybody ever wants to call me or if they have an opportunity or they want to create opportunities together, they could always just give me a call on my cell phone or text me, 732-213-8987. My email is Allan, Allan, D as in David, Burns, Burns, @gmail.com. Or you can look me up on Facebook or Instagram. So, like I said, I love meeting people. This is one of the reasons why I got into this business, the freedom, people meeting, and the ability to create. So, that's where I'm at. And I love teaching the younger generation the things that I learned the hard way. So,
I've got another benefit. Allan Burns is no longer wearing a parka in the middle of the winter outside.
yeah.
So
So I
this is
really
what
appreciate you guys. You guys were awesome. And anything I could do to help you, you just let me know. Okay.
I got it. Well, listen, thank you, Allan, for doing this, and for all the listeners, thank you for participating. We love your reviews. Please leave a review. If you're an agent, you got a gold mine of nuggets today, man. So please leave a review. And in the meantime, take care of yourselves. God bless you and your loved ones, and we will see you on the next Massive Passive Cashflow Podcast.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Massive Passive Cashflow. Be sure to go to realestatewithgarywilson.com to join our community and start building wealth today.